The Gotham War continues in Batman number 137. What is Catwoman wearing on this cover? She's got like leopard pants and a tank top with the Batman logo crossed out and cat ears. She looks like a sorority girl at a theme party. Most of you old school wrestling fans are probably familiar with the Dusty Rhodes Hard Times promo. It was done in the mid-'80s, and it features Dusty looking directly into the camera and talking to the viewer about how he can relate to people working real hard, but not quite being able to keep up with their bills. It's one of the best promos in wrestling history, actually. This issue made me think of that Hard Times promo. It feels like Batman is going through some hard times these days, many of which he may not be used to as a formerly rich person. And that may be what sets the Gotham War apart from previous big-scale Batman crossover events. The Dark Knight goes too far in Batman number 138. So it looks like the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, the backup persona that Batman created to stop himself in case he ever did go too far, is ironically seeping into his brain and making him go too far, as he does something to Jason Todd in this issue that it's pretty hard to take back. We get a Batman versus Nightwing fight in this issue, which I'm not a fan of because I feel like this issue makes Nightwing look like just another one of Batman's sidekicks, and his character should be beyond that. Especially in an era where DC is trying to convince us that the Titans are the number one superhero team in the DC universe. Nightwing shouldn't be squabbling with Batman during stories like this. Jason Todd, sure. Tim Drake, okay. Damian Wayne, fine. Barbara Gordon, okay, sure. But Dick Grayson, Nightwing, should be a hero who, in some circles of the DC universe, is looked at as being on the same level as Batman. Nightwing is better than this. The caption on the cover to Batman 139 reads, "The explosive mind bomb begins." Which is not only worded kind of weirdly, but it's a little redundant, isn't it? I mean, aren't all bombs explosive? This issue sets up and partially gives us a confrontation between Batman's more violent and erratic personality, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, and the Joker. It's compelling, but it wasn't what I came away from the issue thinking about. Apparently 3 Jokers is canon now? What? Batman 3 Jokers was a 2020 story by Jeff Johns and drawn by Jason Fabok, published under the DC Black Label imprint, where it was revealed that throughout his history with Batman, the Joker has actually been played by 3 separate individuals. The story was okay, and it was beautifully drawn, but I thought we had all kind of written off 3 Jokers as a mildly compelling thought experiment by DC Comics. And now you're telling me it's going to be canon going forward? I don't buy it. Things look and feel very familiar in Batman number 140. So just as a quick review, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is an alternate personality that Batman developed for himself in case he either went too far or was the victim of mind control or something like that. Well, in this issue, Batman, while in like a dream state, meets various different versions of the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh from across the multiverse. So we have Dark Knight Returns Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, we have Michael Keaton Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, we have Batman the Animated Series Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, etc., etc. But didn't our author Chip Zdarsky and our penciler Jorge Jimenez already do the whole multiple variations and multiversal versions of Batman thing in Batman 900? And I mean, that wasn't that long ago. It was, what, a couple months ago? I guess you can make the argument that in Batman 900 we were laying the groundwork for these multiple versions of the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh to show up. But I don't know, it just feels like we've played this song already. There's also a character in this story from Batman the Knight, a story that Zdarsky wrote that was published last year, I believe. You don't need to have read The Knight in order to get into this story, but it probably helps. Will two of Batman's creations ultimately become the instruments of his demise? Maybe, yeah. Oh, don't act so surprised. Look who we're talking about. This is Batman number 141. So I can tell you this because DC spoiled it when they released the preview pages for this issue. In Batman 141, the Batman of Zur-Anar, Batman's erratic alternate personality, injects his consciousness into the robot body of Failsafe. I like that plot twist. It ties the Zur-Anar stuff into the Failsafe stuff in a realistic sort of way. Well, realistic by comic book standards anyway. As I read Zur-Anar/Failsafe's dialogue in this issue, I had to fight not to do it in the voice of James Spader, a la Avengers Age of Ultron. I'll tell you what, in an alternate life, James Spader might have made a good Batman. Also, the chase sequence and subsequent fight between Batman and Failsafe is really strong. So my hat's off to artist Jorge Jimenez and our colorist Tomio Mori. There's a line of dialogue in this issue that I hate. It's when it's referenced that Batman at one point sent Dick Grayson overseas to train with one of his mentors, Lucy Chesson. At what point did Dick Grayson go overseas to train? I guess it could have been during his time as Robin, but historically I think it's been generally accepted that he trained overseas with various people during the transition from Robin to Nightwing. And if it's being implied that Batman sent him to train with Lucy Chesson during the transition from Robin to Nightwing, that doesn't work. The change from Robin to Nightwing was about Dick Grayson becoming his own man. And if Batman sent him to train with Lucy Chesson, then that's not Dick Grayson becoming his own man. That's Dick Grayson continuing to be one of Batman's apprentices. It doesn't work. So in February, 3 weekly issues of Batman will be published, as the title presents its storyline, The Joker, Year 1. You know, based on our author Chip Zdarsky's track record with Batman thus far, I'm sure that this Joker Year 1 story will be good, but purely from a conceptual standpoint, it's kind of cringe, isn't it? I mean, those are two things that DC really loves to push down our throats. Overhyped Joker stories and Year 1 stories. Also, let's remember that DC is apparently insisting on the Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok story, 3 Jokers, being canon now. So I wonder how, if at all, that will color this Joker Year 1 story.